Meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District Board. Please call the roll.
Director Burr,
Present.
Director Budge is absent, Director Schaefer,
Here.
Director Hume is absent, Director Jennings,
Here.
Director Kaplan, Director Kozlowski,
Also here.
Director Maple,
Here.
Director Cerna, Director Singh Allen, Director Vang is absent, and Chair Kennedy.
Here.
With that, we have a quorum of 9 votes, and this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District is recorded with closed captioning. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs Channel on the Comcast and DirecTV U-verse p.m. and Friday, November 22nd at 2 p.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of the meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker card located at the rear of the room and provide it to myself or Adam. Once the item has been called, additional speaker cards will not be accepted. The time allowed for public comment is at the chair's discretion. The timer will chime when you have 20 seconds and then again when your time is up. There was one written public comment that has been provided to the board on item 2.6 from Glenn Mandelkern regarding Connect Card device placement inside the trains.
Thank you very much. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, that takes us to item number 2, which is the consent calendar. Is there any member of the board that would like to see something removed from the consent or discussed or have any questions of staff?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, and we also have cards from the audience. So I will start with item 2.8, Helen O'Connell. Do we have a microphone back there?
Good afternoon. I'm not too sure. I didn't get a chance to read all the supplemental reports on this, but personnel services contract, is that like for drivers and workers for RT?
No, this is not for a drive. This is a personal services contract in communications specifically.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Helen. Ellen, keep that microphone. 2.16. Helen,
Item
2.16.
6. Oh, yes. Light rail floors. The replacement of the low floor light rail vehicles, right? With the chain delineating authorities for amendments, specified configurations. I believe that refers to things like being able to hear the outside announcements that the ramp is being deployed, the placement of the call strip, the inability for people from the outside with large wheelchairs that don't have good range of motion, need assistance to get onto the ramp or get back from the ramp so that it can deploy. Those issues have been brought up to me by several people that have range of motion issues in their wheelchairs. They don't seem to be able to manipulate the buttons and then realize that the ramp is being deployed because the attention signal is only audible from the inside. This creates an issue with wheelchairs, blind people, and deaf people. They don't know that the ramp's being deployed. I hope these issues will be more addressed with the next procurement of new vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen, and I'm sure our staff took notes. Also on 2.16, Coco Cocazella.
Coco Cocazella, Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. Kind of a follow-up to Helen. I gave a read through of the actual blurb for 2.16, and I did not see the often referred to call strip change. I may have missed it, but I don't think it's there. It seems like a very serious miss from what I've heard from the need for equity in that space. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lee, we do have staff taking notes of these things. Yes, thank you very much. Michelle Baker, 2.17.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Baker, and I am a frequent RT rider. I usually take the Smart Ride every week, and it's very convenient for me because where I live, the bus stop is a 12-minute walk from where I live. It's literally across the street, and it's Route 19, and Route 19 comes every hour. If I were to miss the first one, I'm going to I'm gonna have to wait for a whole nother hour to take the next one, and that's a lot for me. So I depend on the Smart Ride to get me to where I need to be, so I don't have to wait for an entire hour to wait for the next 19, because that just takes time for me. And now with this Flex, that's replacing Smart Ride. It's gonna be a little different, but I might use it when I really need to. I'm not going to do it every day because I don't have $2.50 to spend each day. So I'm only going to use it when I need to. But other than that, it's very convenient. I think it will help me and all those other people who need it, people on low income, such as myself, people with disabilities, and senior citizens, because they need it the most. So I kind of like the idea of the Flex. It's just having to pay an extra $1.25. That part kind of got to me a little bit, but I'm so happy that they don't have students ain't using it. It takes a lot from them, from the people who actually need it. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for coming down, Ms. Baker. We appreciate it.
No problem.
2.18, Helen O'Connell.
One more time. I have been pushing for an equitable pay for equal work, and make sure that the pay is comparable to other programs that provide this same service, and that the benefits packages are the same throughout the whole company, so that things would be the same. RT Go is not the new one on the block. They were there before RT was RT. And so I don't understand why they are being treated like their contracts are substandard, and you can't retain good drivers or good staff if they're not being compensated reasonably. I have had conversations, and I have many concerns about people that are doing the job that need to leave because they can't afford to work for someone that doesn't provide reasonable benefits and a reasonable wage. I'm hoping that the contract that was ratified recently is a big improvement from what I've heard was offered. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. That's the last card I have on items on consent. We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Next item, please.
The next item is 4.1 under unfinished business, Resolution 2024-11123. Approval to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with the Code Solution, Inc. for surplus property located in Sacramento, California, and delegation of authority to the general manager, CEO, to execute one or more grant deeds and lease agreement. And Chris Flores is here to present this item.
Great, thank you, Tabitha. So good evening. I'm here tonight to discuss properties that the SACRT board has declared surplus following the rules of SACRT's administrative code and have been made available for purchase in accordance with the requirements of the California Surplus Lands Act. And to seek approval from the board of a purchase and sale agreement, staff has negotiated with a selected buyer, along with the delegation of authority to the general manager to execute one or more grant deeds to transfer title to the sold properties and execute a lease between SACRT and the buyer for the building at 1400 29th Street. So next slide, please. And then that's a mouthful there. So here are the 9 parcels in Midtown that SACRT has made available for sale. As a reminder, SACRT has moved our administrative staff to this building here in Q Street under favorable lease terms and consolidated our bus administration and dispatch in the 1400 29th Street main admin. This is all part of our first steps towards a long-term facilities and zero emission strategy. All totaled, the 9 parcels add up to 1.88 acres and are located along 29th Street and N, O, and P streets. Next slide. SACRT is mandated by the state of California to have 100% zero emission fleet by 2040, excuse me. In 2022, SACRT completed a zero emissions facilities master plan that identified the need for 2 new large garages to meet the SACRT zero emission bus operational requirements. The report called for a facility in the north part of the county and one in the south part of the county to better ensure coverage and to reduce deadheading. Thankfully, SACRT earlier this year was awarded $77 million grant to build out a zero emission facility in the north, allowing for maintenance, fueling, and offices. The current bus maintenance facility in Midtown will need to remain operational until facilities are built out. And as such, SACRT has requested a 10-year lease back of bus main as part of this sale. However, we have recently been notified by Caltrans that parking and charging of electric buses is not permitted in the downtown lot underneath Caltrans airspace, which puts the need to really actually expedite the look for a south area bus maintenance facility. And so that will kind of be another next steps that we'll be asking the board in the future. Next slide. So this is a little bit about the Surplus Lands Act. As a reminder, public agencies must follow the State of California Surplus Lands Act, SLA. When the property is purchased with federal funds, we must follow the Federal Transit Administration's guidance for disposing of property. The Surplus Land Act dictates that when selling property, a public agency must first make it available to affordable housing sponsors or public agencies for the following purposes: lower moderate income housing, parks and recreation and open space, school facilities, public agencies for public purpose. The California Housing and Community Development Agency, HCD, provides regulatory oversight for the Surplus Lands Act and has been monitoring the sales of these parcels closely. SACRT has had routine check-in meetings with HCD, meeting and corresponding more than a dozen times to ensure that we are adhering by the process. And after the SACRT board approval of the sale, staff will submit a package of documents to HCD for review, to review for concurrence that we have completed the SLA process. Next slide.
Excuse me, Chris.
Yes.
Director Cerner.
Go back to the other slide. In terms of that bullet point list there, is there any order, a priority order for those?
Yes, so the affordable housing is the first priority order, and then it would be made for public agencies for public purposes.
And then the other 3 are third?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, critical infrastructure, but the housing is the number 1, affordable housing.
Gotcha. All right, thank
Just a little bit more on the Surplus Lands Act. First, an agency must put out a notice of availability for 60 days. Following the 60 days, the agency must negotiate in good faith for at least 90 days with responsive proposers. If no agreement can be reached with an affordable housing developer, we may entertain any offer made by a public agency for public use. If no sale is made, the SLA process is complete and the property can go to open market. In the event that the disposing agency receives multiple offers, the local agency shall give first priority to the project that will generate the highest number of affordable housing units, so long as no less than 25% of the total number of units developed shall be affordable. And the SLA does not restrict an agency's right to seek fair market value, but I will say there are harsh penalties associated if you don't adhere to the SLA properly. This includes a 30% penalty of the sales price for a first violation, a 50% penalty at a second violation. Next slide. And then why we're here today. So for background, the board approved the surplusing the 9 parcels that comprise SacRT's administrative campus last July. On January 17th, SacRT issued a notice of availability starting the 60-day clock to receive offers. After the 60 days concluded, there were 19 entities that responded. On March 18th, SacRT responded to those entities asking for additional details such as offer price, site proposal, financing, and closing guidelines and more. Since that time, we have been negotiating with responsive proposers. A number of the original responders declined further interest, and our brokers continued to negotiate with the remaining affordable housing developers. We presented those to the board in closed session on August 24th to get direction on finalizing negotiations. Next slide. So just a little bit about our notice of availability in January. It did stipulate a few key items. First, that we are seeking fair market value for these parcels. The Federal Transit Administration must approve of any disposition. We are prohibiting development that is not transit supportive because of the proximity to light rail. And as mentioned before, we have requested a lease back of 1429th Street main admin for up to 10 years as they currently house critical SacRT operations. To minimize the SacRT's transaction costs, we have our preference is to sell all of the parcels in one transaction. So tonight, we are asking the board to approve entering into a purchase and sale agreement with the Code Solution, who is headquartered in Los Angeles with a construction partner here in Sacramento. They are offering $15.6 million for all of the parcels. That is $1.4 million above the appraised value. They're proposing to build a total of 304 units on all of the properties, 100% which would be affordable. They have agreed to put down a non-refundable $310,000 good faith deposit with a proposed close in a year. And if they request to extend that close another 9 months, they would deposit $465,000 to extend the closing out to 21 months. These non-refundable deposits demonstrate that they are very serious. And they have agreed to allow SacRT continue to occupy main admin office for 10 years at no cost, an estimated value of $2.5 million over those 10 years. Next slide. So just a bit more details on their offer. They would develop the properties in 3 phases. The AMI breakdown of the units is on the screen. It is 100% affordable by SLA definition. All 3 developments would include ground floor retail, on-site parking, and contain a mixture of studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units. And then this slide just shows a few of Code Solutions projects in the past. The Solaire, a 186 apartment unit over in LA Metro Station and Bus Transit Center. And I know they work closely with LA Metro on incorporating the bus dwelling design. And a 227 unit senior low-income housing project in Oxnard. So with that, staff requests that the board approve the purchase and sale agreement between SacRT and the Code Solution, and that the board delegate the authority of the general manager to execute 1 or more grant deeds, transferring the title to Code over the 9 parcels at the close of escrow, as well as a delegation of authority to the GM to execute a lease for 29th Street property for up to 10 years of close of escrow. We do believe that this is a very good deal, meeting all of SacRT's prerequisites, exceeding SLI guidelines, and resulting in more than 1,000 residents once the housing is complete. So staff will later seek to reconvene the real estate subcommittee to provide guidance on the sale, to provide updates and guidance on this sale, but also to seek direction as we look for a South Area bus maintenance facility. And then with that, I concludes my remarks. I will turn it back to the board, but I will note that we do have the developer here from Code Solution, David Park, as well as our broker, Ryan DeAngelis, if should you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from the board at this time? Okay, we do have one member of the public, and Robert Copeland.
I have a few questions. When will development of this property be started? If it's passed by whatever entity? I'm a housing advocate also besides better transportation. So this follows on both issues. More housing means better transportation for RT because more people going to ride the bus. The 2040 zero emission, I don't like that. It should be 2030 or 2035 at the latest. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. There was a question on the start date. Would you like to address that question? As well as you possibly could in the world of development? Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is David Park. I'm here to represent the Code Solution. We are looking at trying to start construction at the time of close of escrow. So we have been talking to both city staff and planning and also community development. They've been amazing at kind of gearing us towards what how we want to get to the finish line as quickly as possible. They understand that with the need of housing, we're doing here is not just low-income housing and not just homeless housing. It's the missing middle. And I think that's something that, like, you know, if I talked to David Park that graduated college in 1993 and it said, you don't have to have 4 roommates to stay in Westwood, you know, it's like, that's who we're helping. And so we're going to work hand in hand with the city to get this done. It'll be ground floor retail and also units above, and we'll be mindful of the parking as well. So it'll be as quick as possible, and everything will be by right using TOD entitlement, so it should be fairly quick.
Thank you. If you run into problems with the city, we know some people.
That's being recorded, right? So
Director Maple.
thank you very much and appreciate your support
Thank
during
you.
this time.
Thank you, Chair, and really appreciate it. I just wanted to say this is a really exciting project. I can't think of a much better outcome for these properties and right next to transit in the dense part of the city, where we desperately need more affordable housing, not just all across the board, but I really like the reference to young people too. I think that we have a need in the city, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's one of the members that's on the city council here on this board. If you run into any issues, you have our support, and I'm looking forward to working with you. So I just want to really give it up for the team here at Sacramento. Great job, Chris.
Thank you, Director. I will say before we take a vote, this is huge. Not only for the reasons that Director Maple mentioned as far as the need for housing in our community, but it's really taking RT in the next step in our future. And this is a monumental vote we're taking right now that's going to really impact for generations the future of this organization. So thank you, Chris, for all your work on it and the rest of staff. It's been a long time in coming. Yes.
Not to delay this momentous occasion, but you have some questions. You breezed past the fact that Caltrans wants us to move the buses. Wants us to move the charging.
So there was a recent policy directive that was issued last week, actually, that we received from Caltrans that they've reviewed in light of a fire in Los Angeles last November on the I-10 freeway, their airspace and what is underneath it. And they have deemed that 38 different properties and of Caltrans that they look at throughout the state, and they have determined that no electric bus charging without a waiver from the fire marshal and I think and FHWA you would need to get those waivers should you want to park any electric buses or charge any electric buses there as well.
And that action that they took, what kind of timetable does that give you to relocate that stuff?
So we only have a handful of electric buses right now, and I think there was a meeting I missed this morning or this afternoon discussing where we're looking at. We're thinking that Believe Power In, where we have some charging capabilities already, to relocate those. but it makes our decision that we're not making any investments in this property where we're leasing under Caltrans.
Gotcha. And then just thinking about the other puzzle pieces that have to fall into place, finding a south area bus facility, what's the likely timetable of that so that you can actually vacate the biggest part of the land for
Yeah.
these guys?
Absolutely. So we are looking to reconvene the real estate subcommittee of this board to get some direction on that. There's very limited and when you're looking at for the size, the zoning, making sure it works for our routes and our deadheading, there's very limited parcels. So I think we're going to be looking at some of the properties that maybe we own as well, to see if that can help spur that process.
Gotcha. Okay. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. Seeing no one else? All right, we have a motion and a second, or,
I'll move.
okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Next item, please.
The next item, 4.2, motion appointing one board member and one alternate board member to the Capital Corridor Joint Powers Authority. This item was brought to the board on September 23rd, and Chair Kennedy appointed Director Schaefer as a member and asked for the item to come back to appoint an alternate. After the meeting, I noticed that I had it on agenda as a chair appointment, and it should have been a motion by the board. The next CCJPA meeting is Wednesday, and I believe Director Schaefer is planning on attending.
So we do have a full complement of members. We just, for some reason, have a rule that we need. Is it a rule or is it part of the CCJPA bylaws there that we need to have two alternates?
I'm not sure on that one. Do you know?
It's the CCJPA, it's not us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we still are in the need of another alternate, and I'm serving as one, so we need one more alternate. And this is the same lack of enthusiasm I got last time. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to serve as that second alternate.
Thank you for stepping up. I'll tell you, in the 8 years I've done it, I've gone to one meeting, so. Yes,
So just to clarify, I would still be the lead person going, and then just if I can't make it, then wonderful. Well, I'll have you know that I have not missed one yet, so I may be calling you.
all right. Thank you very much. Do we need a motion or just an appoint? Okay. I will move that Mr. Brewer be the alternate in the open position.
Second.
Vice Chair seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you.
Can we also get a motion for Director Schaefer?
Oh, okay, yes. I will move that Director Schaefer be a member of the CCJPA.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Right. Actually, okay, next item then is public addressing items not on the agenda. I do have some cards from the public. First is Julia Coleman.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Julia Coleman. I'm here on behalf of Paratransit Door to Door. I feel terrible with the last contract that was signed. It was not in good faith negotiations. Our drivers do more for us than any other bus stop to bus stop driver. I had, while I was typing up the difference between ours drivers and the RT bus stop to bus stop drivers. I just didn't finish it. I don't know how many of you know that when we became part of Paratransit, Door to Door, we became a family. And I'm talking about the reservationists, the dispatchers, and the drivers and us. What affects our drivers and any of the other ones affects us. How it affects me is because I believe that RT took back insourced to Paratransit Inc. to cannibalize the drivers, because at the time there was not nationwide, there was a driver shortage. And when you have a driver shortage, what's the best way to get drivers? And that was to insource Paratransit Inc. And when you took your drivers and you put them through the RT driving for paratransit, and then offered those young drivers the benefits that RT has for their drivers, what do you think those drivers are going to do? They're going to flip over to RT. That means when RT outsources us back again, it's going to be with less drivers because many of our drivers do not want to return to Paratransit Inc. That leaves me in a very vulnerable position. What am I going to do when you can't provide the services right now? Roger Dickerson said on your 50th RT celebration anniversary,
Can you wrap
that
up?
RT gets you there where we want to go, when you want to go. But what about us?
Thank you.
You've forgotten about us.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Thank you. Helen O'Connell?
I second everything the lady said just now. And I am very, very concerned. On Friday, I went to the bus stop on bus line 51, and it usually runs every 15 minutes. However, we had 89 cancellations for the whole system. I made it to my destination, and on my return ride, I called for information about when the next bus would come. And they said, oh, it'll be an hour. Well, that didn't sit well. So I called the customer advocacy. I'm sorry, customer advocacy. They were able to find a bus that would be there in 7 minutes. And that bus passed me up. They clearly saw me. They had not a full label on the front of the bus. I called customer advocacy again. They said, oh, there'll be another bus in 7 minutes. Thank goodness that they had room for me. I had no other options from that location. I didn't have enough electrical power in my wheelchair because it's undependable to get home 12 blocks from where I was. Thank goodness I was able to do that. My point is that when we have 91 cancellations today, there are very few people that actually know that the cancellations have happened. Therefore, they're stranded. And in a wheelchair, if you're going to wait for 2 or 3 hours for another bus, that doesn't work. And if you don't know ahead of time that that's the issue, then you're stuck until something shows up.
Can you wrap up, Helen?
Yeah, we really need to address the incapability of the service frequency and dependability on RT bus, train, and paratransit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coco Cocazella?
Thank you. Coco Cocazella, Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. STAR would like to continue to recommend the potential for a community advocate on the board to strengthen perspective building, equity management, community alignment. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Coco. Michael Bevins?
Hello, my name is Michael Bevins, resident of Sacramento RT area. It's the mission statement of our thing says, you want to get us where we want to go, when we want to go. And I can tell you already that we're not meeting that goal. We're getting most of it, don't get me wrong. It's not like you're not trying, but you don't have weekend service for a lot of stuff for resident, damn it, the recreational users of our city. So I have some suggestions on how to fill some of these gaps. You can use them or not, but I just, if you're in a neighborhood that isn't close to a bus station, we can use an expansion of our new flex system. Once it gets going, maybe you can expand that so it can be like a taxi service that can connect you to a bus stop and take you somewhere else. That's one option. I've suggested before, you can have a neighborhood bus route, just does the neighborhood, connects the bus. It's a regular route, so you know it's to go to the major stops, churches and shopping malls and schools and continuing bus stops. It's a circular route, so you know one's coming after another. That's another suggestion. Another one is bicycles. If you want to get from your house to the bus stop and it's far away, you want to take a bike. Okay, when you get to the bus stop, what do you do? If you can put your bike on the bus, great. If it's full, maybe we need a bike bus. I've suggested that before, a route of just bikes and or cargo, strollers, luggage. And if not bikes on the bus, maybe we can secure or have bike parking at a bus stop or a bus transit. Currently, there's not much bike racks and covered, secure. You could park your bike and then ride the bus. And there's a lot more I'd like to cover, but I'm going to run out of time, so I'll just stop it there.
Thank you, Michael. Jeffrey Tartagia.
Well, some of this I'm going to attempt to cover when we get to the general manager's report. But right now I will offer is the number one thing I want to say to you is good luck dealing with Dos Rios. I'm glad it's starting to get built as of now, not 2 years from now. But please watch it. Seems to me like with the other sites that you've got, you know, how long the Folsom has gone on, I don't know that you've had a good checking up on it of accountability. On the I-80 station you get there, how much does the board know of what's going on and occurring? Now, the other thing I will offer as a complaint is you're about to do fuel cells. Make sure you have procurement, safety, and an operator review what you are doing, because the left side on the 2200 series buses, I end up being secured by the two in the back because you cannot really attach the front one. It's the lack of, and this is something 2 years ago, I made this statement back then, and it didn't seem to hit the right ears to understand what needed to happen. It's just like on the low floor vehicles. 2 years ago, I told you that people were going out of the high floor platforms backwards. As far as I know, this board has not seen how many incidents you've had with the low floor vehicles. You've not answered the question of how many of the Connect cards are out of service. I count more than 20, sometimes there are not even one per station. There's other things, but that's a start of something that is priority that you need to deal with and the board needs to take responsibility for. Not leave it up to staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Robert Copeland?
There you go. Last time I was here, I gave RT a D minus. With what I heard from Helen with bus cancellations, like 91, I'm giving you an F now. You have to do better. Every route should be run. And if you can't do the job, hire more bus drivers. And the best way to get people to ride a bus, more housing, people. I'm talking to that county board, the supervisor, all city councils here. If you have more housing, you would have more riders and more tax revenue. Don't you understand that? This RT board is a failure, in my opinion. A lot of you should be replaced. Get on the job. As bad as RT is, I'm glad we have RT. Because I don't want to be in a city this size without regional transit. But you have to do better. I was in a vacation Colorado. They had no transportation service. It was a smaller town in Sacramento, but less people. You had two ways: ride a bus, no, walk, or car to get around. And I don't want to see any part of Sacramento County where you need a walk or ride a car to get around. We need a better bus system. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. Letian Lam Yun, forgive me if I pronounced that wrong. Letiana?
Tiana.
Good evening, members of the board. Good evening, everyone. My name is Litiani Lamuin. Thank you, Robert. You know, I came here with a heavy heart, but just those words. So I know I'm limited on time. I stood before you a year ago in protest to the light rail across from Marisol Village. I am a resident at Marisol Village. And this has been a disheartening experience. Since last year, okay, I have 4 boys. Where's the camera? Where am I looking at? Because I want everyone to hear this. Since last year, my son here that I brought has been left behind by bus drivers. And on October 29th, we had to run for our lives from 5 young adults, 5 youngsters, just because I asked for them to keep it down on the bus. I asked the bus operator, whose response was, "What do you want me to do?" And then when he did something, he told them it was me that said something. I had no problem letting them know the first time. But when it continued to happen, I figured our bus driver would do something, having that authority as a bus operator. Either stop the bus, kick them off, I don't know. But I just found out that a week before that incident, my son experienced a bus driver do just that, a woman on the 86 route. So let's talk is where I'm at right now, right? We do need someone on the board to strengthen the community connection. And that was what I said last year, right? This is a civil service. So in essence, you guys work for the taxpayers. Help us help you. That's what I'm here to do. I'm now going to speak up. I had a few solutions, but because of the sake of time, I will. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. But I do want to say that I did reach out to both the chair and the vice chair on October 29th, or the next day. I didn't hear from anyone until today from the vice chair's office. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings.
Latiana, I apologize on behalf of my office for not getting in touch with you earlier. What happened to you should not have happened. What happened to you and your son should not have happened. And the last speaker said, when you know better, you do better. And we know better now as far as what is happening. So we can improve our training, we can improve our communication. There's a lot of things that we can improve. So I just want to thank you for speaking up tonight.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I do want to say that that was one thing I did want to suggest was driver training. However, if you don't remember me, sir, I was one of the young ladies that you dropped off that night to the board member. I didn't come back in January because you guys canceled that next meeting. I threw my hands up, but thank you so much. We'll continue to have conversations.
Yeah, I'd like to have that conversation. I left a number for you today, and hopefully you'll give me a call and we can sit down, and I want to make sure that we do talk and that we listen to all the concerns that we know we can address. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director. Violetta Caldera. Violetta Caldera.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Violetta. I'm here with Allison Witt, my colleague, and we're from World Relief. We're one of the 6 resettlement agencies here in the Sacramento region, and we're one of the largest. And we resettle this year alone 2,250 newcomers to the Sacramento region. And so I did leave I brought a few cards. I'll leave them for you. And I just wanted to just speak on behalf of all the newcomers. When you're creating new plans and new routes, just to have them in mind. Remember the neighborhoods that are the most densest with refugees who are some of the most vulnerable in our city and who will have the least amount of options to getting where they need to go. They're also often attending the most impacted school districts and are overflowed and are very reliant on public transportation to take them very long distances. I would love to speak to somebody to invite you to be part of the Sacramento Region Refugee Coalition, just to hear from other agencies, to learn more about the statistics and the populations that we serve, as well as their current barriers and where they're currently located, and the types of transportation they need access to. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate it and appreciate the work you do. That takes us to the General Manager's Report, 8.1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, board and the members of the public. Thanks for some meaningful community feedback today, and we will take some corrective actions soon. We have already took some actions. Particularly about the bus cancellations, we had a couple of very difficult days, and I want you guys to know, in less than 2 months, we're going to have 50 more new bus drivers when we, transition our smart ride service to, Viera, organization for them to take over. So the current smart ride drivers all will move to bus side. So that will significantly, relieve the bus cancellation situation. And also, I just want to briefly say the transit agencies in California are all, particularly in the last several months, struggling on this issue. The unexpected up and down of the absenteeism from our bus drivers because of the rule, the sick leave rule changed. Will not change, and way to schedule, the comes difficult to handle. But anyway, in less than 2 months, we're going to have 50 more bus drivers. So that will significantly address the concern. Talk about smart ride. Again, I want to acknowledge that the board has approved the new Sacramento Flex service that will officially launch on January 2nd. I want to specifically thank the lady who just spoke about the support of the new service, and also her willingness to sacrifice herself, not to ride that service as much as she wants, as much as it's ready when she really needed it. So she can give those opportunities to other more vulnerable population. So I really wanted to thank her on that. The transition has been many months in the making, and I would really like to express my appreciation to riders, advocates, disabled community, staff, especially Sacramento board and the mobility feedback and guidance as we, or going through the new pilot program. This, even though we had multiple, board meetings talking about this, but this has been very, very smooth compared to other transit agencies, and they gone through this. We got, like I said, we hosted multiple open houses, and we listened, and we immediately, improved our pilot, the program details. And as we launched January 2nd, we will continuously update the board and the public on the status of the transition, and we will continue to refine the pilot program details to continuously improve the mobility in this region, especially for those with the greatest transportation needs. So just want to say a big thank you to everybody. I would also like to acknowledge that earlier today, the board just took action to ratify a 3-year collective bargaining agreement with ATU 256 Sacramento Go bargaining unit. The CBA, the agreement, provides a fair and equitable total compensation package for employees. Just give a little bit, context. We hold the equity and fairness as a very important principle when we, negotiate and, communicate in this whole process. Since we took over the service 4 years ago, including, the first contract, then this new contract combined together, the total compensation package has increased by more than 60%, 60%, compared to what it was 4 years ago, right before we took over the service. 60% increase is a huge increase compared to our industry peers. I just talked to attend an industry conference about the workforce development, and I shared this with them, and I heard them, they averagely for the increase, like the situation like us, is less than 25% for this type of situation. We increased by more than 60%. And I hope, this will really get to the point, our union members deserved, and we have done our best to reach a fair and equitable agreement. So I really want to thank ATU President Krista Lee and her team for the collaborative and productive negotiation. Then earlier this month, we celebrated our FTA No Grant Award for BFM2. We were joined by Congresswoman Matsui, Congressman Barra and Kylie, as well as State Treasurer Fiona Ma, and the FTA Region 9 Administrator Ray Tallis, and State Assembly Member Judge Hoover, Chair Kennedy, Vice Chair Jennings, and Director Kaplan. Our federal low and low grant was the third largest award in the nation. With other already secured funding as a result of this federal funding, the combined secured contribution for this project so far is over $94 million. And we are confident we will secure another up to $100 million additional money to to build out the entire facility. So total cost or funding will be close to $200 million. And this grant will enable SACRT to purchase up to 70 new hydrogen fuel cell buses, 70, construct a permanent hydrogen fuel production station or your facility, which will be the first in the capital region. In this whole region, we don't have a hydrogen. Yeah, Jeff knows that better than all of us. And we will modernize this huge maintenance facility with 180,000 square feet. This is huge. This facility will handle about 37% of our business. Then we're looking for a new facility in the south of Sacramento to handle the remaining 60% of the service. And this program will also establish a workforce development program. We're going to, award $5 million to the community college to train local workers in maintaining and operating the advanced zero-emission buses, specifically hydrogen buses. So just want to thank you all again for the all the support. Then speaking of the grants, at the end of last month, October, SACRT was awarded $29 million in grant funding through the state TIRCP fund. Our grant application was fully funded. This is the first time, in SACRT history to get a fully funded, grant. $29 million as we requested. And in addition to the $29 million from the TIRCP award, SACRT is able to unlock additional $25 million contingency money SB 125 funded, effectively bringing our grant total to $54 million. This fund will have a significant impact on completing light rail modernization project. A couple of points. With this money, we will be able to purchase additional 10 light rail vehicles and bring our total number of new light rail vehicles to 59 vehicles. And we only need 6 or 7 more vehicles to complete our ultimate goal, which is to replace all 97 our older vehicles. And 59 vehicles can cover our basic service. Another 6 vehicles is for the backup. So right now, we just don't have backup, but we have enough vehicles to run our business. The second point is we have full fund to fund the conversion of all our stations to accommodate the new vehicles. So virtually station conversions and vehicles, with this funding, we can cover our basic service. And in addition to that, we received the funding to support the construction of both the Dose Rail Light Rail Station and the Home Road Station in Rancho Cordova. So those rail light rail stations funding are fully covered. Excuse me. This is just it's a truly significant improvement. Okay. Then, while not as large of a grant, but equally important to riders, we were also awarded extreme heat and community resilient grant from the state of California. It's $450,000 grant funding, which will help fund up to 20 heat resilient bus shelters in the Sacramento region. developing our bus stop improvement plan was completed. We are taking an active approach to protecting our transit riders from the challenges of extreme heat. So then on to the next topic. Last week, I had the pleasure, like I said, attending the national conference, which calls Making Connections Conference, hosted by International Transportation Landing Center and the National Transportation Workforce Center. I serve as the board treasurer of these two great organizations and also serve as one of the only 3 board executive committee members. We only have 3 executive committee members, and the chair, treasurer, and the secretary. The board chair is the ATO International President John Costa, which is a great guy, tough guy. You know, he always, his slogan is, "Who is moving the city? Who is moving the city?" That's his slogan, and shouting to in front of thousands of people. You know, the good friendship and the partnership with the ATO president, international president, really help the industry. And we share a deep commitment to working across labor management divisions to improve public transportation across the country. And the conference is truly unique. You do not often see the direct dialogue between frontline workers and the top managers, but we know it is so important to understand the business and improve our partnership and collaborations to advance our industry's knowledge base and best practices. And it's a great conference, and I had the privilege of delivering the welcome reception remarks. And we'll also get to hear from FTA Acting Administrator Veronica Vanterpool. And I also get lots of information about how our peer transit agencies across the country doing. And in the COVID time, more than 80% of transit agencies reduced the service, bus service by 30%, 50%, or even more. And we did not reduce a single bus service during COVID. And instead, our board approved 2 additional services, one to Davis, one to airport. We added more service instead of reducing service. But in addition to that, we still have lots of transit peers in California. They have not increased the bus service back to the original level. So, I just want to give some, a comprehensive view to everybody, so we can be more objectively to assess, the service. And I don't say, we are, how great we are, but at least, in terms of providing service to public, we are doing way better in lots of peers. Next, I would like to share that Sacramento, in partnership with the city of Elk Grove, implementation plan or feasibility study stage. As we seek to enhance mobility and connectivity for close to 200,000 Elk Grove residents and many visitors, I don't know how many, a lot. And we're evaluating options to provide high frequency transit service to seamlessly link Elk Grove with the large Sacramento area or region. This plan will assess the feasibility of 2 high capacity transit options, one extending light rail or implementing a bus rapid transit line. Both alternatives aim to create new accessible travel options along with the corridor from the end of Consumerist River College to Camera Road near State Route 99. Public feedback is crucial for developing the project. So please take the City of Elk Grove survey before November 30th to share your opinions. Thank you. And to conclude my remarks, I'm happy to announce that Sacramento has begun testing trains on the tracks for the Folsom 15-minute service project. The Gold Line was extended to Folsom in 2005. However, the 7.4-mile extension only allowed for 30-minute service due to single tracking. With the new side track, all Gold Line trains will now serve Folsom as opposed to alternating between Sunrise and Folsom. And as soon as we have a confirmed date for the start of the service, opening celebration, this also is a part of our light rail modernization project. If we consider the project, the streetcar project and others, we have secured more than $1 billion federal and state funding in last 5 years. Combined together, that probably equal to, the total funding we received 30 years prior to that together. So I'm very proud of, this agency, how we are, delivering our service and secure huge amount, massive historical amount of the federal funding. So I hope next time we will get some higher rating instead of. Okay, that concludes my chairman report. Mr. Chair, I'll turn back to you.
Thank you very much for that brief report, Henry. We do have some cards on the general manager's report, and I ask that you keep your comments to the general manager's report, as we've already had the items not on the agenda. Helen O'Connell.
Good afternoon. One more time. I have a few concerns with the flex, and I neglected to make a card for it, but it was mentioned in the general managers, so I'm going to address it. I was informed that they're using a vehicle that has a rear entry lift. That means that a person in a wheelchair or any other assistive device needs to be entering the bus through the rear, which means they will be going onto the street and then entering the vehicle. And to be able to enter the street, they would have to find a down ramp, probably at the end of the block, and then go to the vehicle. The MAC board did address a rear entry vehicle that RT was going to purchase, and we determined that it would be unsafe for that transaction to be happening. So I am very concerned that if that vehicle is a rear entry vehicle, that you would be putting people in harm's way. I'm not sure what the configuration is because I did not see the specifications for the flex. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helen. Jeffrey Tartagia.
Also along those same lines is why are not the former Jive vehicles being utilized for that purpose? Now, for me, if I'm going to attempt to use this flex service, I'm going to be backing in because I've already been thrown on the bus out of this wheelchair, and I've been also thrown out of light rail through there. I've just determined, and this is why on the new low floor vehicles, when I go into it, I go in it with the backwards, so I'm against the force. So when the train goes to a emergency stop, the force goes to the back, not throwing me out of the vehicle. It's just like the other concerns. And again, I will invite you all, go this Thursday, listen at least to the MAC report of what's going on and happening, because this is further will be developed about this. The other concern I have for the general manager is Pat wasn't there for this last transportation meeting. So please also look and hear some of the hydrogen fuel initiative issues that got brought up at SACOG. You just had a board meeting with SACOG, and you can look on the YouTube for RTs for SACOG to see what they are doing and what is happening. Realizing that you're a member, but you're not a, shall we say, where SACOG gets reported. You get the funding, but you don't have what is going on in SACOG, knowing what is happening. You know, Rick James, you're the one that had just 3 years of dealing with equity. And on those notes, I will say to you is yes, working for 26, that we need to have public funding for transportation. Don't know whether it will work or not.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Robert Copeland.
Well, I hope when the RT gets the new bus drivers on the RT bus system, I hope that eliminates the trip cancellations. I hope that happens. Also, is there a way we can get any information on these grants or potential new grants that RT is trying to get for our bus systems? I don't know if it's on your website or not. Also, if you're talking about light rail to Elk Grove, what is that going to cost? I'd rather see we improve the current system instead of expansion. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. That's the last card I have on the comments for the general manager's report. So that takes us to item 9, reports, ideas, questions from directors and communications. 9.1, is there anything to add to the Mobility Advisory Council meeting summary? Hearing and seeing none, and Ms. Budge is not here. So I believe that concludes our business for this evening.
One quick thing. With any luck, the 15-minute service will be operating all the way to the Historic District on December 6th, but I wanted to invite everybody to come for our Christmas tree lighting and ice skating, which is on December 6th in Folsom. It's a lot of fun, and you and me and 4,000 of our neighbors will be there.
So
Director Kaplan.
what's our mayor's invitation?
It's the last stop on the Gold Line. You're within 300 feet of the Christmas tree.
Director Kaplan.
And I'd like Henry, if you wouldn't mind looking in as you look at goal setting and lines, what it would take to extend Route 11 in North Natomas from the current route all the way to Metro Air Park and the Sacramento International Airport along and get maybe feedback in 2025, what that looks like and the possibility. At the same time, hoping we can look for and find grants. There is land set aside for light rail. Don't know if that is going to happen to the airport, but we need to start planning to use that land if we can move forward a potential grant to also planning for bus rapid transit. That may generally take that line and start that planning process, please.
Thank you, Director. Director St. Allen.
I just want to say that the city of Elk Grove looks forward to continuing to work and partner with SAC-RT as we provide expanded services in the near future and existing services for our growing population of nearly 200,000. So thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you, Director. Else? With that, Henry, I would say you need to work on your slogan.
Okay, so I will
Okay.
try.
All right. All right, we're adjourned.